Inspiring people, sharing life.
And Isaac digged again the wells of water, which they had digged in the days of Abraham his father. For the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham.
For the Philistines, it what?
Stopped them.
After?
The death of Abraham.
Before? After the?
Death.
The death of who?
Abraham.
Okay. So after the death of Abraham, the Philistines came and stopped the wells that Abraham's servants had dug.
Yes, Father.
Right?
Yes, Father. And he called their names.
Right? And then they covered the wells with earth. Is it there? Okay, read verse 15.
Verse 15. For all the wells which his father's servants had digged in the days of Abraham his father, the Philistines had stopped them and filled them with earth.
They had stopped the wells and filled what?
Filled them.
Filled them with what?
With earth.
Yes.
And Abimelech said unto Isaac, Go from us, for thou art mightier than we.
They were not comfortable with his strength because he's having 100-fold. So they don't understand this kind of a lifestyle.
Right.
Go find another place elsewhere, not here.
And Isaac departed thence,
Yes.
and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar.
Now he went to the lowest part in Gerar. Yes.
And dwelt there.
He dwelt there.
And Isaac digged again the wells of water.
He digged again. That's the beginning. That's how you contact now the Spirit.
Wow. All right.
Acknowledgement of the work that was done. This is how you inherit the Spirit of another personality. Hear this now. He goes on to search for the exact location where there used to be a well that his father's servants had dug. And he goes there. He says, dig here.
And Isaac digged again the wells of water.
Again. There is a digging again.
Yes, Father.
Of the wells of water. Yes.
Which they had digged in the days of Abraham his father.
They had digged in the days. So in the days of his father, there was a work. There was a digging.
Yes.
In the days of his father, there was a digging.
Yes.
That took place.
Yes.
And he's coming not to undermine that work, but to revive it.
For the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham.
After the death of Abraham, they stopped the waters. Yes.
And he called their names after the names by which his father had called them.
I said this before, I have to say it again. I hope people this time will not miss it. There is a well somewhere, now covered. Isaac has to identify the well, dig it, find water, and then give the well the same name as the father. So two things have to happen here.
Right.
You have to be accurate in locating the well, finding the well where it used to be, because covering it with earth, it means that place looks like any other place.
Indeed, Father. Yes. Yes.
So identifying that prophetic grace to identify where the well was before. Number one. Now, and you employ physical people to work on a spiritual discovery. Then you open up. Once you have found water, you have to tap into the same name that existed before. You have to locate the name of that well. So he's saying, I found the well, now I have to name it. after the same name. It was named by my father. I don't have to change things here.
Right.
There was a reason why my father named it that. So now there is a well. So he's opening up a well and then he's giving them the same names.
And Isaac's servants digged in the valley and found there a well of springing water. And the herdsmen of Gerar did strive with Isaac's herdmen, saying,
The headmen, they strove with the headmen of Isaac,
saying, the water is ours.
This is our water. Notice they are not saying this is our well. They say this is our water, like we have ministries even in most of the countries that owns the water. The well is yours, but the water is ours. That's our water. Okay? Yes?
The water is ours. And he called the name of the well Esek.
Esek.
Yes, Father.
Meaning strife.
Yes, Father.
Or contend. Or being contentious. Okay?
Yes, Father.
So he is naming it after there was a contention. But the name had to be the exact name.
Okay. Yes, we understand now. Same battles.
But his father never had that battle. Notice they only took the well and covered the wells after Abraham had died.
Okay.
Yet Abraham had called it Esek. Abraham had named it Esek, strife, though there was no strife. So there was a prophetic name attached to the well, yet to manifest. It was yet to manifest. How do you... How prophetic was Abraham to know that in the future my children are going to drink from this and there's going to be a strife, and then he gives it a name that later on manifested. Those, you see, the Bible is saying he gave them the exact names.
He called their names after the names by which his father had called them.
Had called them. So it means his father had called it Esek, strife. He called it strife. Yet there was no strife. And Isaac comes and he digs that same well and there was a strife. And then he names it. That's how he identified, because of that conflict. It helped him pick on the name, on the exact name.
Wow.
Okay. He goes on again too.
Because they strove with him.
So the name was because they strove.
Yes, Father.
Yet he picked on the exact name. Okay.
And they digged another well.
Another well.
And strove for that also.
And again, yes.
And he called the name of it Sitna.
Sitna. Again, is the same meaning. They fought over that.
Strive.
Strive again. Yet these wells only got covered when Abraham had died.
Yes.
So during his time, no problem.
No problem.
Yet he had named them after that conflict that was coming in the future. Then he went on to dig another one, and he called that one Rehoboth.
Yes, Father. And he removed from thence and digged another well. And from that they strove not. And he called the name of it Rehoboth. And he said, for now the Lord hath made room for us.
Rehoboth means room or expansion or establishment. For that one, there was no war.
Wow.
So notice, when Abraham went on digging these wells, he knew two of these wells there's going to be a conflict. And he named them after the conflict that he was foreseeing in the future.
Wow.
There was a Rehoboth which Abraham named first before Isaac named it, which means room. So finally, when my son get to this particular well, he is established. He would have acquired experience throughout different conflicts. He mustn't get to Rehoboth first. Okay?
Yes, Father.
My son should go through certain training.
Right.
Of acquiring properties and losing properties until he gets to this point. When he digs this one now, let this one be established. So it was a path that Abraham had already constructed for his son, whoever that son was, who is going to come and revive my work and not undermine what I've done. Here he will have a conflict, here another conflict, but if he keeps on digging and not neglect or forgo or undermine my work, eventually he will touch on one well where my son is going to be established and there's not going to be any warfare around that water. Not the first. Rehoboth was not the first. It had to be the third one. How is it that whenever I try to touch on my father's well, there is conflict? There is a spirit that is trying to chase sons from their father's work.
Yeesh.
There is something very important that I want you people to see. Why would you go and dig the same well, which has been covered for years now? It is sealed, it is hard. Instead of finding another new well.
Yes.
Why? Why? This is the part that is very, very important. Isaac knows what it takes, that it's not hard to dig as it is hard to find.
Right.
Isaac knows the cost that his father incurred in identifying the pathways of water, which calls for a very, very serious qualification. Anyone can dig, but not anyone can find water. There are streams of water underneath, and fathers are aware. They know where water is found. They have done an investment already. My father can never be wrong. He wouldn't have dug this place if there was no stream. So I should not come now and start to experiment with my own latest technology trying to find water. The job was already done. You see, you have to be that smart as a son. Otherwise, if you are not going to appreciate the work that was done already before you came, even the cross, you're never going to appreciate what Jesus did on the cross. You're going to require another Jesus of your time to come and die for you.
Strong father.
He knows what it takes, what his father did to find the water. Why should I start searching? Why should I also be fasting for the same thing that was already discovered by my father?
Right.
My father got it. He knows how to hear from God. Isaac would have gone to the mountain and seek for his own special anointing, which is brand new. But he knows there's been an investment already. My father worked so hard to establish the water pathways. And what I need to do now is to just identify those places. Not to look for the water, but just look for the covered well.
Emmanuel Makandiwa, inspiring people.